Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to just briefly discuss integers and absolute value. If you recall what an integer is, okay, an integer is going to be any positive or negative whole number, including 0. Okay? So in this set of numbers that we have, okay, we have numbers that will include all the negative numbers to infinity, 0, and all the positive values all the way to positive infinity. Okay? So remember that in this particular collection of numbers, we have all the negative and positive whole numbers, including 0. Okay? So also keep in mind that when we use braces, okay, that indicates a set, and the set in mathematics is a collection of objects. Okay? So if you have a set of baseball cards and you have a full set, then you have a collection of baseball cards, and each card is an element. Okay? So each card is an element. Just like this set is a set of numbers, we have a collection of integers that we only want the negative and positive whole numbers, including 0. And every individual number is an element. Okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. So 1 would be an element. 2 would be an element. 3 would be an element. 4 would be a separate element. You know what I mean? So you have all these elements that constitute a whole set. Okay? So when we talk about integers, okay, integers don't have any fractions or decimals. They're whole numbers only. So we need to keep that in mind. Whole numbers only. Okay? So example, if you have like a temperature, let's say, whoops, I'll write that a little bit neater. Okay, so let's say you had a temp of 10 degrees below 0, then that would translate into a temperature of -10. Okay? Regardless of what the scale is. Okay, -10. So integers can be represented, in a lot of different ways. Another example would be like something is 12 centimeters longer. And that should say longer is positive, so positive, right? So it should be a +12. So you represent that integer as, +12. So key words, below, longer, more, all right? Descend is minus, ascend is, plus, or decreasing is minus, increasing is plus. All these are clues or types of words that indicate the sign that you would attach to the integer, okay? So the next thing that I would like to talk about is absolute value. And absolute value is basically the distance from 0 all right? So if you're taking the absolute value, we indicate that with the 2 bars, okay? So the absolute value of -5 will give me 5, and so will the absolute value of +5 will also give me a 5. And then you're probably saying, well, why? Well, if you do a number line, and you go ahead and plot -5 over here, so that's a point, and then you plot +5 on the other side of 0 as your second point, okay? Well, and I ask you, okay, what is the absolute value of -5, and what is the absolute value of +5? What you got to remember is that the distance from, the reason why the absolute value of -5 is 5 is because it is 5 units away from 0. Okay, does that make sense? And then the absolute value of 5 is still going to be 5 because, as I said, it's still 5 units away. Away from 0. I should have put the word from, but you know what? That's fine. 5 units away from 0, and the distance is always positive. It's kind of like saying, okay, I live 5 miles from my house, but you wouldn't want to say I live -5 miles from my house, okay? Distance is always positive. So when we do absolute value, okay, absolute value is always positive, okay? Because it's the distance from 0, right? -5 is 5 units away, +5 is still 5 units away. So again, both measurements are positive, okay? So that's kind of really important to understand that. All right. Okay, so let's do something on the next slide. Okay, when we talk about comparing integers really briefly, we have to think of the number line. All right, so a couple of examples. Okay, so I want you to compare 3 and -5. Number 2, I want you to compare -5, 0. For number 3, I want you to compare 6 and -1. And for number 4, I want you to compare -23 and -29. All right, and we're going to use less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Actually, the signs that we're only going to be using is going to be these two, so I'll probably just get rid of those. I don't want to confuse anybody. So less than or greater than. Very simple comparison. All right. And the best thing to do is draw a nice number line. And 0 is a reference point. Let's go ahead and do number 1. So number 3, and I'm going to do a scale here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 3 is going to be here. -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -5 would be there. Okay, and the way to compare it is you're going to compare the first integer to the second integer. So 3 is 3 more than -5 or less than -5. Okay, 3 is going to be bigger than -5 because as you go towards the right, the integers get larger. And as you head to the left, then the integers get smaller. So 3 is to the right of -5, so therefore it is bigger than. So we're going to use the comparison of greater than -5. All right? And then we want to compare -5 and 0. So -5 and 0 are already plotted on the number line. So we look at the digits. Now the integer is -5 and 0. 0 is to the right of -5. Okay? So, and then -5 is to the left of 0. So As you go more towards the left, then the integer is going to be less than. -5 is smaller than 0, okay? Because the number is to the left. And as you get more towards the left on the number line, the values get smaller or decrease. All right? So the next number is 6. So let's go ahead and put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is here. -1 would be right there. Again, 6 is to the right of -1, so therefore it's going to be greater than. Okay? And then the last one, a -23. Well, if I can just estimate, -23 would be here. -29 would be there. Look at -23. It's to the right of -29, therefore it is bigger than because it's closer to 0. -23 is closer to 0. -29, the distance of -29 is a little bit more. It's a little bit farther away from 0, okay? So that's why -23 is bigger. So you can compare, any numbers. If you wanted to do something like bigger, like for example, -175, and you're comparing that to -250. Well, -175 is going to be closer to 0, and therefore it's going to be greater than. Okay? So you can do this with any comparison. All right? So that was just a quick little review on some basic topics on absolute value and integers. I hope that you found this video to be helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Have a good day.